Hi, and welcome back to the MySpace podcast. I'm your host, Smiley, and today I will be reviewing the book Tale of the Heart Queen by Nisha J. Tuli. This is book 4 and the final book of the Aretfacts of Ouranos series. First book is Trial of the Sun Queen. And I may have to redo this video because the lighting's not great. So, let's get this started. So, rating 8 out of 10. There's a lot going on. It's all over the place. Don't really know what's happening sometimes. I'm like, what? Characters are told something, and then 5 seconds later, it's like they completely forgot about it. And these are vital plot things that they need to know. And they're asking all these questions. I'm like, didn't we just go over this? Weren't you just told? Why have you forgotten? And it's so annoying. It was just really crazy. Those are the things that they need to know, and they forget. I'm like, excuse me. In the ending, what was that ending? What was it? I didn't get an epilogue or anything. It literally was them. They had sex, and then it was them, talking to each other. I'm like, great, that's what I need. I wanted, an epilogue to see them more in the future. They have, children or something. But no, that's not what we get. POV. So, it's still Laura and Deer. We still have Gabriel, and now we have Rion's point of view. That's the Aurora King, Deer's father. Plot/storyline. So, Lore begs Zara to save Nadir because Nadir had died. Zara answers Lore's call, and up in the Evanescence, because that's where Zara is, she tells Lore that if she retrieves Alluvian's ark, that she'll save Nadir and give him back to her. Alluvian is the sea kingdom. They don't live in the ocean, but they're right there on the shore. So Lore sets off to do that. Meanwhile, up in the Evanescence with Nadir and Zara, she's kind of working her way up to sexual assault. She already kissed him while he couldn't move. And she literally says that eventually he'll forget about everything and forget about Lore, and then Zara will be the only thing that he wants. And I'm like, oh god. This is crazy. She's crazy. And there is a reason for why, but it's not a good enough reason to be like, oh, okay, this is fine, it makes sense. It's a reason for why, but it's something that it's not forgivable for. Zara also hates Lore for a pretty big reason, which I'm like, okay, you're just being petty now, I guess. And also okay, makes sense. Anyways, neither of Lore or Zara's plans really go through, but it does end up better for Lore in the end. Eventually. Lore figures out how to kill Zara, and then that's what they set out to do, which never goes the way that they planned it to go, because they can never do that, because that's too easy. Nadir and Lore also set out to figure out how to bond and not blow up the whole world, and then everything happens, and it's happily ever after. But we didn't get an epilogue. Lore, so there's not really a lot I can say about her. Nothing about Nadir really anyways, but we do see how mostly everyone will listen to her and do what she says. She's just that nice or something, and even if people don't like her, they usually end up coming around eventually. Nadir, so what we see in this book is what he'd do for her. Anything he said in the first books before this is true, and he do it happily because he loves her and he wants to save the world. Also because he's realized that the path he thought he was on wasn't the path that he was meant to be on, and he's okay with that. He's not angry or anything. He didn't want to be on that original path anyways. Spoilers. So, Azera is angry at Lore because she knows that Lore is set to replace her as goddess of the world. So, yeah, Azera is trying to kill Lore because of that. Lore gets angry, and then Azera actually goes back on her promise, and Lore gets angry at Azera and, like, completely blows up the Evanescence, which of course rebuilds because it's not real, in a way. And Nadir sees her magic, and that gives him the motivation to get out. So he does. And that's where he falls into the other part of the Evanescence, where he meets his grandfather, who then sets him on his way. Later, Lore then learns that to kill Zera, they have to destroy the arcs, and only the kings and queens can destroy their own arcs. So she has to get all the kings and queens together and convince them to destroy their arcs. And then they get working into that. Some of them are destroyed, and there's only like 2 left that they have to destroy, which is hearts and Aphelions, the sun stuff, sun kingdoms. The heart arc is with Rion, because he stole it, and Tyr has to destroy the sun one, because he's king, though he's working on his magic. So, because of that, he'll need Everyone's help, most likely. But he's all like, I'm not going to do it, because he made this whole like promise that he's not going to use his magic until the Low Fae get their freedom. He also says that he doesn't want to become king, because he thinks that he'll never actually be able to help the Low Fae when he's king, because he'll just have to make false promises and make compromises with the lords in their council. But he does end up helping Tyr in the end. So, yeah, that's good. And for Nadir and Lord Bond, so they're told by Dolores Payne, the priestess in Circe and Wolf's story, that the missing piece to how 2 primaries can bond without blowing up the whole entire world is that one of them has to give up their place as primary. And Nadir's automatically like, I will. And he doesn't regret it. Like, he's all like, this is the path that I want to take, this path that I was supposed to take. So, you know. And he does end up being able to give his primary spot away, and he gives that to his sister. So, you know. So they bond, and then everything else goes around and just blows up in their faces. Nothing blows up. Yeah. And the bond is perfect. So, then this is where we're getting into the whole other part. Rion has been communicating with Herrick, or really it's more Herrick has been communicating with him and manipulating him so that he can get out of his cage of the underworld and destroy Zera and take his place as god. So Rion takes Lore to Herrick. Nadir goes after them. Herrick then puts Nadir and Lore into a trial with the promise to Lore that he'll let them go with the Ark if they survive and pass all the trials. He can't kill Lore, but he can make her suffer. He can kill Nadir, though. She's all like, you're not gonna kill him. And Rion, while watching his son go through the first trial, and how they fight to protect each other, Lore and Nadir, Rion finally realizes how much of a horrible person he is, and how everything he has done was actually his fault and not everybody else's fault around him. So then he's like, wow, I'm a bad person. He has this final revelation. So then he ends up helping them in the end by throwing them the Ark. And before he dies, he apologizes to Nadir. He mouths the words, but, close enough to an apology. Then Lord destroys the Ark and kills Zera. Then the Imperium take her and Nadir and the others up to the Evanescence And the parents were all like, it's your time to be the goddess. And Lord's all like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to be. I have a whole family and friends, people I care about. I have a mate. I want to start a life. And then Pyramid was like, well, blah, 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 you know all this, blah, 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 blah. You're supposed to be, you know, the goddess of this world. And then they look at that whole group of them that, you know, that I've been together this whole time, kind of all cry together. And then Tyr stands up, which I knew he would. And he's all like, I'll do it. And then the Pyramid were like, well, okay, but your primary needs to accept the job as king. And Erevan is like, he accepts it, like he finally comes to terms with it. Then Laura ascends and becomes Queen of Heart, and like happily ever after. Erevan does a good job as king, blah, 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 blah. And that's about it. Nothing else. We don't see anything else. So yeah. That's about it, guys. Yep. Okay. I'm reading a romance book next because I saw a scene on Instagram and I thought it looked funny. So yeah. Bye everyone. Have a good rest of your... Oh, wait, I did this correctly. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a good rest of your day, night, week, month, year, life. Thank you, and goodbye.